What's up everyone? Welcome to part 2 of the Angry Birds Epic No Attacking Challenge. Today we're going to continue our journey and rescue our third egg from Wizpig by only using attack replacements instead of actual attacks. But this won't be easy, as the next bunch of levels are a big step up in difficulty compared to everything we faced so far in part 1. Oh, and that reminds me, if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I would highly recommend watching that video first. Link is in the description. But either way, we're sticking to the same rules as before, and so far we've only had to use 6 attacks and 5 potions throughout this challenge, so I plan to keep those numbers where they are. And before we start, I'd like to thank all of you who have provided support on my first video. It may not seem like much, but I usually don't have videos that get this much attention, so I really appreciate it. But now, let's not waste any more time and continue this challenge. To rescue our third egg, we have to get to Star Reef, and to get to Star Reef, we first have to head through Pirate Coast, Slingshot Woods, and Great Cliffs. The first level of Pirate Coast only has a big pirate and a ghost pig called a ship's kobold for some reason. This fight was really easy, but also incredibly slow and boring. Honestly, the most noble thing to happen in this fight was my internet being annoying. I hope this isn't a common occurrence throughout this run. Pirate Coast 2 is a wave battle that surprisingly doesn't have that many pirates. Wave 1 is just a bunch of minion pigs, Wave 2 is a lightning pig and some ship's kobolds, and the final wave is 2 pirate veterans and a matey. I had to hope Chuck could dispel their counter abilities, but overall it wasn't that hard. Beating that level granted me access to a new class shop, where I can buy Chuck's Rainbird and the Blues' Rogues. Chuck's Rainbird is usually a really good class, but in the challenge where we mostly rely on the Lightning Bird or the Mage, it's really not worth it. The Blues' Rogues, on the other hand, are super useful. They have an attack replacement in the form of Cupcake Trap, which forces all pigs to target the same bird, and when the bird is attacked, the pigs take damage equal to the damage that they dealt to the bird. The rogues also have an attack that makes pigs take a lot of damage between turns, which is helpful when paired with the lightning bird. Now, I first tried the rogues out in Pirates Coast 3. It wasn't the best for the battle, but they should prove to be helpful later on. Speaking of Pirate Coast 3, this level introduces us to the annoying pygmies. I'll explain more about them later, but for now we beat this level, get level 13, and we also get something called a Mastery Up. I forgot to mention this earlier, but upon beating Desert Pig Castle in the last episode, we unlocked the Class Mastery system. In addition to earning experience from knocking out pigs, you'll also receive mastery points for the classes you used in that battle, and as you collect more and more points, the classes you use gain more mastery levels and become more powerful. I'm not going to mention any mastery ups we get, but if I ever get stuck in a hard level, keep in mind I'm going to probably grind some old levels to get more mastery points. With all of that out of the way, we arrive at Slingshot Woods, only to be blocked off by a mini-boss called Stinky Stanley. But while his name may make him sound like a joke, he's anything but. His attacks deal a ton of damage, and heal him by 75% of the damage dealt. Now usually, the best strategy is to use Red's Night Shield to defend against his attacks, while attacking him as much as possible to beat Stinky Stanley's damage and healing outputs. But we can't use that strategy here, right? Well, to be more specific, we can't use the second half of the strategy. Enter the Blues and the Rogues class. Their Cupcake Trap ability is useful for dealing damage to attacking pigs, but that's not all it's good for. Cupcake Trap also helps us control who the pigs target, and we use this to our advantage by using a strategy called damage spreading. Here's how it works. 1. Use Cupcake Trap and Protect on Red, so Stanley attacks him, Red takes less damage and Stanley heals less, and Stanley takes a bit of damage from the Cupcake Trap. Meanwhile, use Matilda to heal herself. 2. Use Cupcake Trap and Protect on the Blues, so Stinky Stanley attacks them and takes some damage. Meanwhile, use Matilda to heal Red. 3. Use Cupcake Trap and Protect on Matilda, so Stanley attacks her and takes some damage. Meanwhile, use Matilda to heal the Blues. 4. Repeat this process over and over and over. While this strategy is really tedious, and it took over 10 minutes to beat Stanley this way, it's the best and most consistent strategy for beating him. So after all that, Stanley will finally go down, and also his death animation glitched out for some reason when he died. Don't know why, but hey, it's something I guess. Slingshot Woods 2 is a level full of pygmies, and now's a good time to go over just how annoying these guys truly are. The tiny pygmies aren't much of a threat, but the pygmy shooters and the forest pygmies both have the ability to summon a new group of pygmies of the corresponding group. What's scary about that is that newly summoned pygmies can also summon more pygmies, so we don't kill them all fast enough, we could easily get stuck in a never-ending battle. Adding insult to injury is the fact that, again, the Lightning Bird's Lightning Fast ability makes the target ally target a random pig, so we have no real consistent way of ducking out all pygmies that are charging their summon ability. Now in this battle, you'll see that I opted to play offensively with Bomb, and while it worked out here, it was still mostly luck dependent. Going forward, I did find some better methods for defeating the pygmies, but just keep in mind that none of my strategies for the pygmies are 100% consistent. I try my hardest to find consistent strategies for challenges like this, but there are some battles in this challenge that really just depend on RNG alone. Slingshot Woods 3 is a wave battle with more pygmies. The pygmy shooters are especially dangerous in this challenge because they can make a bird unable to use their full rage ability, that also pairs with the wildling ability most of the pigs have here, which makes them deal more damage when the rage chili is filled. To counter this, I used the blues rogues to force pygmy shooters to not attack Chuck, so I can still use his rage ability when I needed to. Wave 1 is pretty easy, but Wave 2 introduces the Brawler, who can deal a ton of damage to one bird and stun them for one turn. Thankfully, I can use the blues to make them attack Matilda, who barely tanked the hit, and then Chuck's Speed of Light took care of the rest. The final wave of this level introduces the Shawman Pig, who can damage all birds, weaken the birds' healing effects, and can heal the pigs. We just barely managed to survive thanks to blues spreading the damage we took. Also, we got level 14 here. Slingshot Woods 4 is a level with 3 groups of pygmy shooters, so I used the Cupcake Strap strategy once again. I also realized just how useful poisoning effects are in this challenge, as they damage pigs between turns, which makes up for the fact that we don't get to attack them as much. I mean, it's a no attacking challenge, what do you expect? Slingshot Woods 5 is a wave battle that has a couple of brutes, so I switched out the blues for red in the samurai class to help us tank the damage. The final wave of this battle introduces the Nature Pig, who can apply a healing effect to all pigs, healing them between turns, but he wasn't actually that bad, at least in this level. Also, quick side note, the weapon Chuck has equipped at this moment heals them for 10% of the damage he deals, so it helped him stay alive. We then meet a fork in the road, and before continuing onwards, we take a quick detour to northern Slingshot Woods 1, which was a surprisingly easy level with a bunch of weak pigs, but more importantly, beating this optional level gives us access to another class shop, where you can buy Bomb's Cannoneer class. Bomb's Cannoneer has an attack replacement in the form of his counter ability. Like the Pirate Veterans from earlier, counter makes it that whenever a bird with a counter applied is attacked, they will instantly attack the pig that attacked them. As a niche bonus, the Cannoneer's attack applies a damage debuff to pigs attacked, so if all the pigs attacked when he has a counter, he can easily apply the debuff to all pigs. The Cannoneer also pairs great with other classes that can apply negative effects, such as the Rogues or Druid. With these 3 classes, Slingshot Woods 6 was an absolute cakewalk, despite all the annoying pygmies. We're getting closer to Star Reef, we still have one more area to go through, Great Cliffs. The first level is another mini-boss fight against the Voodoo Doctor, and just like Stinky Stanley, the Voodoo Doctor deals massive damage while healing 50% of the damage dealt. He also has an ability that makes him keep attacking the same bird over and over, so using the blues as rogues is 100% necessary for this fight. At first, I had trouble coming up with an effective strategy to beat this boss, but then I realized, wait a minute, this guy is basically just Stinky Stanley 2.0, so why don't I just do the exact same strategy as before? So I did, and it worked exactly the same as last time. Heck, the boss even had the same death animation glitch at the end, that also doubled our XP and Snoutling rewards from the battle somehow. Also, we got level 15. Great Cliffs 2 is laughably easy compared to the previous level, as it's just a bunch of minion pigs. Also, since our XP rewards were doubled from last time because of that glitch, we actually hit level 16 right after we hit level 15. But Great Cliffs 3 was another story. It's a wave battle, and while the first wave is pretty easy, Wave 2 introduces the Witch Doctor. They have an attack that deals a ton of damage, and the bird hit by it is unable to be healed at all for 3 turns. The Doctor can also apply an effect to all pigs that heals them whenever they attack, which makes it harder to get rid of all those stupid pygmies. I lost this battle several times, mainly due to Matilda dying on the second wave, then we had no way to heal on the final wave. So I tried the level again by playing more defensively, but that didn't work out either, as he basically got soft-locked on the first wave due to the pygmies who just kept summoning more and more pygmies. I initially figured I'd have to grind for some more mastery to beat this, so I actually decided to take on some optional levels in Co-op Plateau behind a yellow pig gate. The first level was Eastern Cobalt Plateau 3. I'm not sure why it's the third level, but okay. Either way, it was super easy, probably due to my birds being over-leveled. Eastern Cobalt Plateau 4 was also super easy. We get some mastery ups from beating it, although the treasure chest I got afterwards wasn't so helpful. After that, I went back and tried to beat Great Cliffs 3, but it turns out I probably didn't have to do that extra grinding, as the trick to this battle was simple. We used the Lightning Bird, Druid, and Rogues, and on Wave 2, we used Chuck's Speed of Light to deal good damage to the Voodoo Doctor, and then we sacrificed the Blues to the Voodoo Doctor's attack. If everything works accordingly, you should be able to knock out the Doctor and go into Wave 3 with Chuck and Matilda at full health with the Rage Chili almost filled. The final wave is really tight, where the Shaman and Nature Pig they can heal themselves, but thankfully their attacks don't do that much damage, so we can survive just long enough to take them out just in time. Right as we arrive at Star Reef, Wizpig summons yet another mini-boss for us to fight, the Howler. The Howler's Perish Song attack deals little damage, but applies a deadly poison effect that can kill your birds in 4 turns or less, so the Blues Tricksters are an absolute must. The Howler can also summon 3 ghost allies after 3 turns, so you want to get as many attacks in as possible while he's alone, while also using Chuck to attack all the mini-ghosts at once. However, you're going to need some luck and hope that the ghosts don't all gang up on the bird that gets poisoned, or else they're bound to die. But I actually got a lucky first attempt victory in this level, and we get level 17. So finally, we made it to Star Reef. We just need to fight a bunch of undead pigs to reach the castle. Now I actually forgot to record Star Reef 1, so my footage here actually shows my second time playing it, but it was still pretty easy either way. The Stinky Zombie and the Poltergeist can apply negative effects though, so I would highly recommend the Tricksters again. Star Reef 2 is a wave battle with some zombie pigs, and a Frankenstein brute on the final wave. He can deal heavy damage to all birds, but Red Samurai Shield saved us once again. The Satos effects were annoying as hell though, as we had no way to remove them, but after beating this level, we unlocked yet another class shop, and we can buy Matilda's Princess class. The Princess has access to the Royal Aid support ability, and the Royal Order attack. Royal Aid heals one bird by a good amount while also removing all harmful effects from them. But ironically, their attack is actually the most useful skill in a no-attacking challenge. It deals a good amount of damage and forces all pigs to target the bird with the most health. The Princess class is a great example of role compression, as it combines the healing powers of Matilda and the redirectional support of the Blues' Rogues class into one big class. This also leads to a good strategy when it comes to defeating the undead pigs. We use the Lightning Bird, Princess, and Cannoneer, and we use Lightning Fast on the Princess to force all the undead pigs to target one bird, which we apply counters on. When the bird's at low health, we make the Princess attack again, and make all the pigs target a new bird before healing the original bird, and rinse and repeat. This allows us to not only spread the damage among our birds, but also the undead pigs, which we want to make sure all die at once so they can't revive. With this strategy, Star Reef 3 is pretty easy. If you want the pigs to have their attack power lowered, make them attack Bomb. And if you want all the pigs to take damage from each attack, make them attack Chuck. Star Reef 4 was a somewhat tricky wave battle, but I beat it by using the same strategy as the last battle. However, I think now is a good time to mention that, while this strategy is the most consistent and effective way of dealing with the undead pigs, it's kind of complicated and takes some time and skill to properly utilize. Remember, Matilda's Royal Order forces pigs to attack the bird with the most health, so you want to keep a good eye on your bird's health at all times so you know who you can have the pigs attack. In some instances, it might also be a good idea to purposely not heal a damaged bird so the pigs won't attack them when you use Royal Order again. Also, you may have noticed I use Chuck's Rage ability at seemingly weird times. That's because it's the most effective way of clearing out all the remaining undead pigs. Remember, you must have all of them knocked out at once, so the best strat is to get all the pigs in low health, then use Speed of Light to finish them all off. We arrive at the entrance to the Star Reef Castle, but Wizpig spawns in a blue pig gate to block us off, so we have to go all the way around the reef now. Star Reef 5 was a simple battle, but it had a bunch of stinky zombies and a banshee that can poison you, so I used the Blues Tricksters again. Also, we got level 18. Star Reef 6 is a wave battle full of zombie knights that can lower your birds' offense, but Matilda's Princess easily took care of that by forcing them auto-attack one bird, so it only had to remove the negative effects from that one bird. The final wave was scary, with a Frankenstein pig and a Necromancer pig that can summon zombies, but again, Matilda can help keep our birds alive, and Speed of Light was enough to finish the job. Now, this is random, but after beating this level, something super good happens. We unlock the ability to enchant our gear with... wait, not that. Ahem. As I was saying, we can now enchant our gear at the price of some resources and snoutlings, and doing so increases our offense and health even further. Now, funny story, in my original unlisted challenge of this game, I forgot to ever enchant my gear, which is probably why I resorted to potion spam. But now that I'm not stupid, I'm going to enchant my weapons when I need to, and not use any stupid potions. Star Reef 7 is a really close battle. It features both a necromancer and an undead pirate captain that can summon more undead pigs. Bomb's counter helped take out the weak ghosts, but the undead captain and necromancer wouldn't go down, so I used Chuck's Speed of Light, which took them both out, but there was still a poltergeist ghost remaining. All the other undead pigs were about to revive, and it seemed as like this battle was hopeless, but believe it or not, Matilda's counterattack was just enough to knock out the poltergeist, so we can move on to Star Reef Castle. Wizpig tries to block us off yet again with yet another blue pig gate, but this time he accidentally removed the one at the front entrance of the castle, so we can finally get there. But I want to do some preparations before we took on this castle, so I enchanted some of my gear and also decided to go back and fight some optional mini bosses we skipped earlier to get access to more weapon shops. The first mini boss is a Cactus Knight Captain on Desert Island. He's basically just a regular Cactus Knight, but more powerful, so using the tricksters to remove his poison damage and dispel his sharp spike ability is the best play. And the other boss fight was against the Adventure Pig, aka Piggiana Jones. He has the counter ability similar to the Pirate Veterans, so again it's best to have the Blue's tricksters to dispel it, but aside from that, neither of these two bosses were all that difficult, and we easily beat them. So then, it's time to take on the stronghold of our third egg, Star Reef Castle. So far, the castles haven't been too much of a challenge, but this castle is different. Not only is it the hardest castle so far, but it's also the hardest level we've ever faced in this challenge so far, and here is why. Now, this castle actually has a cool theme that I like. Each wave before the boss features a different wizard pig along with some pigs relative to their area. Wave 1 is pretty easy, as it's just a pyro pig and some regular minion pigs. Wave 2 features a lightning pig and a bunch of mummies. The lightning pig himself isn't that bad, but the mummies are really annoying, as they're undead and have a chance to stun your birds with their attacks, making them tedious to knock out. But if you thought that was bad enough, the next two waves are about 1,000 times worse. Wave 3 has a nature pig and some pygmies, and this combo is really bad for us. The nature pig can heal the pygmies, making them harder to take out. Then the pygmies can easily summon more and more pygmies until we are totally outnumbered, and the fight just takes forever. If you don't believe me, well, believe it or not, this fight took over 6 minutes on my first attempt just to get past this wave. And after that, we're greeted with Wave 4, which has a Necromancer and a Banshee and summon more undead allies. Now if you keep having Chuck attack and use his Rage Shield to finish off the remaining pigs, this wave isn't actually too hard, but it's still incredibly tedious. But now, we get to the final wave, and the final boss of this video, Wizpig. Wizpig's Black Storm attack is absolutely brutal in this challenge. It hits all birds, and while it doesn't deal that much damage, it heals Wizpig by 50% of the damage dealt. That's bad enough on its own, but it gets even worse than that. Wizpig has a little passive ability called Drain Life that doubles any healing he receives. So while Black Storm says it only heals for 50% of the damage dealt, Wizpig will actually be healed equally to the damage he deals in total to all 3 birds. Well, it can't get worse than that, right? Wrong! In this specific fight, Wizpig has access to a support ability, Power Up Shroom, that doubles the damage he deals. So adding that to the mix, Wizpig can heal himself a ton of health just by attacking us. Red shields can help protect us and keep us alive, but since we can't attack, we aren't dealing as much damage each turn. Since we aren't dealing as much damage, our damage output can't beat Wizpig's healing output, and thus we can't beat Wizpig. I spent about 2 hours trying to beat this level, and I tried out several different classes, but nothing I did seemed to work, and the worst part was that every attempt took me over 10 minutes just to get to Wizpig, assuming I could even do that with the classes I'd used. The only way I could come up with a viable strategy is by doing some advanced damage calcs. I won't bore you with the details, but to sum it up, Wizpig will heal about 572 health every 3 turns from attacking us while Red Samurai Shield's up, and Wizpig does not have the damage buff. So in order to defeat Wizpig, we need to deal over 573 damage within 3 turns, while also dispelling the damage buff. For this castle, we need to use Red Samurai, Matilda's Druid, and Chuck's Lightning Bird, but I need to increase their mastery levels, so I went back and grinded. A lot. In addition to getting a ton of mastery points, I also got enough EXP to reach rank level 21. None of the classes I need can do enough damage to beat Wizpig's healing, but that's only if I can dispel his power-up shroom. That brings us to our one main problem. Chuck's Lightning Bird attack only has a 65% chance to dispel Pig's helpful effects, and since we need to do that several times within the battle, there will always be that one moment where Wizpig gets to attack with his damage buff, dealing and healing way too much for us to handle. So, what did I do about this? Well, I could have just kept trying over and over and hoped for near-perfect RNG, but again, just getting to Wizpig takes over 10 minutes, and I really didn't want to have to do that. But there was still another option. Remember the golden pig machine? In the last video, I said that I wasn't sure whether I should use it or not, but now I think it's time I give it a spin. While you're meant to spend lucky coins on the machine, you can also use it for free twice a day by simply logging onto the game and watching an ad. While I kept rolling the machine for a few days, I actually decided to take on the Pork Tuga dungeon to earn more snoutlings. The dungeons in Angry Birds Epic are optional challenge levels similar to castles, but you can only use 2 of your own birds, along with Piggy McCool as your third party member. Unfortunately, his ability is basically useless to us, as all it does is restock potions when you use them, and I'm not allowed to use potions in this run. But despite that, Piggy McCool is still a strong ally, as he has lots of health, deals a good amount of damage, and his attack has the bonus of giving us 2 free snoutlings, so I'll definitely take those. As for the dungeon itself, it was super easy. I wish I had more to say about it, but it was mostly just a bunch of pirates, so it was easy. Even the pirate captain boss wasn't much of a threat, as Chuck could easily take out the pirate minions. Although one random thing worth mentioning, Piggy McCool actually has a rage ability that we're technically allowed to use, since it simply heals us and fills up the rage chili by a little bit. I guess that's good to know. But let's get back to the golden pig machine. After about 3 days of rolling it, I got just what I needed. A weapon for Chuck that gives him a 20% chance to dispel helpful effects from pigs. This pairs with Lightning Bird's 65% chance to dispel effects, giving us a total dispel chance of 85%. With better gear and better odds on our side, we take on Star Reef Castle one more time, and here's my best attempt. We take on the castle with the Samurai, Lightning Bird, and Druid classes, as I mentioned earlier. Wave 1 is basically free, you just keep using Chuck to take out the minions, then finish off the Pyro Pig afterwards. You also want to use Chuck to take out the mummies on Wave 2, and then focus on taking out the Lightning Pig. As long as you're not super unlucky and get stunned a bunch by the mummies, you should be fine. You want to save your Rage Chili going into Wave 3, and use it on Chuck right after the Nature Pig applies the healing effect. That way, Chuck can get 2 attacks in, hopefully ensuring that all the healing effects get dispelled. Matilda's Thorny Vine attack can also help deal with the pygmies, so you want to take out ASAP. But once the Nature Pig is by himself, this wave is as good as done. For Wave 4, keep using Chuck to take out the weak undead pigs, while also dealing some damage to the Banshee and Necromancer at the same time. Once most of the weak pigs are dead, use Chuck's Rage ability to hopefully clean up the rest. Now I got kind of unlucky on this attempt, and Red got stunned here, but we still managed to win nonetheless. So that brings us back to Wizpig, and here's my simple strategy to defeat him. On turn 1, have Matilda attack so Wizpig will take extra damage between turns from the Thorny Vines. Wizpig will then use his power-up shroom buff. On turn 2, have Chuck attack to hopefully dispel the damage buff. Wizpig will then charge his Black Storm attack. And on turn 3, if Chuck dispelled the damage buff, have Red attack to deal more damage. But if the buff is still up, you need to have Chuck attack again, and pray to RNGesus that it gets dispelled. Otherwise, you may as well have to start the whole level all over again. If all goes according to plan, Wizpig will then attack and deal a little bit damage to all birds and heal a little bit, but not enough to beat our damage output. So we repeat this process over and over, and we also get some uses of Chuck's Rage ability, which I purposely use after Wizpig uses power-up shroom to ensure it gets dispelled. But finally, after all that grinding and spending several hours of attempts, we finally defeat Wizpig and beat the Star Reef Castle, while still not adding any attacks or potions to our original total of 6 attacks and 5 potions. Wizpig escapes, but he drops the blue pig key along the way. We rescue our 3rd egg and destroy yet another castle. But as usual, Wizpig flies off to the next castle to store away yet another egg, which we'll have to rescue in the next video. But until then, thank you all so much for tuning in to part 2. I hope to continue the series onwards, so if you were to leave a like and subscribe, I would truly appreciate it. But either way, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye!